בוקר טוב לכולם. אני שמח
Good morning, everybody.
להזדמנות הזאת.
I'm very happy for this opportunity to hold our third international conference with the Red Cross.
הנושא שלו מתמקד
And we'll be focusing on challenges of warfare in densely populated areas. That is a challenge that I imagine will accompany us for quite some time in future. We will open up with greetings of the head of the Institute, Major General Amos Yadlin, followed by words from the head of delegation to Israel, Jacques de Mayo. Please, Amos.
בוקר טוב לכולם.
Good morning, everybody.
זהו הכנס השלישי
במכון
למחקרי ביטחון לאומי בנושא אתגרי הלחימה בשטחים צפופים. הנושא רלוונטי מתמיד. מאז הכנס האחרון, מה שהתרחש בעולם הבהיר לכל מי שחשב שהנושא
who may have thought that this topic was not important enough, just how central it is, just how essential it is to discuss, and to what extent we have to think about it in all the different disciplines and areas. We have to prepare ourselves to different scenarios that are yet to come. We cannot repress this topic. We cannot use it using the conventional tools. We have to develop new tools. Since the previous conference, we had a third war in Gaza after CAST-led operation, after a defensive pillar, and we are not the only ones, although we are the leaders and we often the ones who tackle the problems first. But the ISIS in Iraq and Syria, again, they've been attacked by a coalition, a very broad coalition that is using air forces. There's warfare against in Ukraine, against underground forces in Ukraine, and there are hardly any warfare, just simple, formal army versus army. Most of warfare is asymmetrical, or it is some sort of warfare against a hybrid enemy.
כמו חמאסטן, כמו העובדה שחיזבאללה הוא הכוח הצבאי השולט בלבנון, כמו דאעש שהקים ממלכה אסלאמית, אבל זה לא המדינה המסורתית האירופאית שעל בסיסה נבנו הכללים והחוקים של המלחמה.
Formulated. And of course, this presents a challenge. I don't think most people understand how difficult it is and how crucial it is, because it does not only relate to rules of ethics and law, it relates to very basic decisions. How does one build your military force that used to once be suitable for sort of a symmetrical warfare, conventional warfare with planes and such, and today we talk about asymmetrical warfare with hybrid forces. How does one exert this force? What is that strategy one uses? Look what happened to the Americans. On the one hand, you know, what we all love, this, again, there was an intelligence problem. They didn't understand that ISIS was a threat. Then they said, we do not have a strategy at all. And after they came a few weeks later with a strategy, there really isn't a compatibility anymore with the target, with the objective to weaken and to defeat. Degrade and defeat the ISIS vis-a-vis the warfare that's going on. When it is clear to everybody that without boots on the ground, that is ground forces, we cannot defeat ISIS. And that is why the first dilemma is a strategic one. What is that force that one builds, and how do you execute, how do you enforce it? Then we get to ethical dilemmas, legal dilemmas, and of course the tactical management of the warfare. And we do not know what the rules in light of which we must act. We in this institute have defined, and I think those who do not define it for themselves are erring. We have defined the rules and the laws and the ways of thinking that we have taken with us to war do not longer suffice. They require an update. They require learning. They require redefinition. And yet we do not, throw out into the historical garbage can all those rules that humanity has formed thus far. We take those rules, we emerge from those rules and from the laws and from traditional logistical thinking, and we have to make them compatible with contemporary times. Now, our case study is what is happening around the world. But we prefer not to learn at the expense of 2,000 casualties in Gaza or 200,000 casualties in Syria or hundreds and thousands of casualties in the Ukraine. We prefer learning through simulation and theoretical case studies, of course. But at the end of the day, these things merge. And this is what we do in our military program. The Dr. Gabi Sibwani heads in this institute, and it is an ongoing program, and this conference that takes place every year basically concludes and sums up what we have done and sets our next targets. Now, let me tell you where we are going. We are going to try and formulate the strategic thinking. We are going to try and formulate the right rules in order to use the forces and to see how we use or what are those ethical rules and the legal rules that in light of which we must act. A final word, there is a tendency, oftentimes, to discuss matters case by case, using the micro of the macro, whether this attack was legal, was this attack ethical, and in this operation did we achieve something or other. I think the biggest challenge that we are facing is the challenge to look at things strategically. And sometimes what seems to be problematic on the micro level, if you do it properly, then the macro level, a macro dimension looks much better. And if you don't do it properly, the price is huge. Let me give you an example. It won't just remain theoretical to you. If during that first week in Gaza, if we did then what we did during the seventh week, we would have entered that war with far less casualties on both sides. But on during that first week, it seemed like there are there were ethical problems or legal problems that prevented that operation, that it was quite necessary in the seventh week in order to do what we had to do. I would like to say thank you to the Red Cross. The Red Cross is our partner, and its concern to minimize harm is really lies at the very basis of all the work that is done here. And the Red Cross has brought in a very important angle, the international angle that it will present of the humanitarian law, sometimes the human rights law. We don't know if we have to again conduct warfare in light of that. We have to conduct warfare in light of laws of war. But again, this dialogue between us is very, very important. We do thank the Red Cross for their collaboration, their partnership. We're very happy for it, and hopefully we'll be moving forward. With us, there are other guests from abroad. We have two colleagues who are here, General Rayleigh and General Franklin from the United States and from Britain, and Professor Laurie Blank is here, and all of you, and to all those who have placed effort to make this conference happen, Gabi and his lovely team, and all those who participated in the simulation session last night here at the Institute. I wish you all a lovely day, very fruitful day. I hope we study a lot so that we'll be able to be on par with those targets and objectives, and to make compatible again the strategies, the tactics, those rules, those norms to the very complicated situation in which we find ourselves today. Thank you so much.